Hi, this is Solo P1 and this is the French Grand Prix qualifying review. It's not going to be a long review today, guys and girls. I've had a 3-hour sleep.
Sleep mode activated.
I was really busy doing stuff involved with my channel and personal stuff, but I'm going to do this review anyway because I love doing this. He's more focused on beating himself from last year. So the 2020 Lewis Hamilton, he's more interested in beating the 2020 Lewis Hamilton. That's what Lewis Hamilton's supposed to have said in some interview he done. This is quoted by Ian Parks of the GP fans. Go and look it up. I was just randomly going through Google, basically putting F1 news, and I was looking for it, and I come across this, and it says, look, this guy, the Lewis Hamilton from last year, equaled the championship record.
Yes.
He became a 7-time world champion. Lewis Hamilton said that's the guy who he wants to beat. So basically what Lewis Hamilton is saying is Max Verstappen is not the guy he's supposed to beat. The guy who he wants to beat is the guy from last year. Lewis, I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, that car was a better car than this year's car.
Simple geometry.
We know that the stewards, and we know that the F1 has screwed you, has screwed Mercedes. All these new little regulations that are coming in this year, what have come in this year, always favoured the Red Bull car. We know this. And the Ferrari car as well. This is why you're seeing Ferrari now stepping up the game. This is what Ferrari's doing. They're stepping up the game like Red Bull. We know this. So, it doesn't matter if he was a better driver than last year. Which, to me, you're the same driver. It's the fact that the materials that you're working with this year is slightly different to last year. That's all it is. That doesn't mean you're not going to win the world championship. I still think that Lewis Hamilton is going to win the world championship. Great champions find a way. They always do. Look at Alonso. The beginning of the season, the first race in, the dumb internet geeks come out and said Alonso's lost it. He's not the driver he was back in the day. This was one race in. They said the same thing about Perez. Look how that turned out. Look at Alonso now. Since Monaco, he stepped up his game. All he needed to do is just get used to the car. The guy was out 2 years. 2 years he was out. He just like when Ocon came back after that long layoff, where he shouldn't have had that layoff. That was nearly career suicide. When he came back into Formula 1 at Renault, it took him a while to get up to scratch. Now he's up to scratch. But a guy that has won two titles, what should have won more, Fernando Alonso, is now showing his true pedigree. Just like Vettel. It took him a while to get up to scratch with the car, with the Aston Martin. Now he's getting there. But all these social justice warriors, the ones that come on the internet, these dumbass geeks who want a reassurance from everybody. They want everybody to like their tweets. They want everybody to like their comments. They want everybody to like them. They don't want to fall out with no one. They agree with everybody just because they want to get on with everybody. Not me. Never gonna happen. I've got an opinion and I will voice my opinion, and if that is not popular with the audience, fuck off. Do one. I don't want you here. For the people who's on board with me, you can stay and you can ride the gravy train with me all the way to the top. Because me, I am never going to quit. I'm going to continue to do this because I am a passionate Formula 1 fan. I've been a passionate Formula 1 fan since I was that high. I will continue to love Formula 1 and I will continue to do these videos. Some people are going to like my videos, some people are not. You can't please everybody, but you've got to be true to yourself. This is not a gimmick. This is me. This is me. And I'll never change, and I'll continue to voice my opinion because that's just the way it is. Red Bull advisor Dr. Marco believes that this is going to be Bottas' last season. Now, Helmut Marko, the special advisor for Red Bull, he's just playing, in my opinion, he's just playing mind games. Let's face it. We all know this is what Formula 1 has been from the beginning of Formula 1. Mind games. You got to try and throw a spanner into the mix. You want to try and throw your opponent. It's not just about driving the car fast. 90% of Formula 1 is psychology, maybe more. It's psychology. And if you can get an edge over your own opponent or an edge over your team, go and do it. And that all starts going to the papers, going and doing interviews. Because you know that Mercedes, you know Toto's seen it. So he believes, Helmut Marko, that Bottas will be in a Williams next season. Now, I ain't saying that. But now we're coming out, now we're seeing the true speed of Valtteri Bottas. The reason why Toto Wolff employed him. Because now he's got the chassis he wanted. He's got the chassis that Lewis Hamilton had since Imola. He's got the chassis he wanted. And he feels more comfortable with this chassis. Because in Baku, he was nowhere. Nowhere. Now, he's got the chassis he wanted. And now you're seeing the true potential of Valtteri Bottas. His job now is to support Lewis Hamilton. He's not going to win the world title. He probably knows deep down he's not going to win the world title. The title is a two-horse race. I know you can be all positive and you can go, yeah. Let's be positive. I still got a chance. But deep down in his core, he knows that he's not going to win the championship. Never going to happen. Not this year. I'm not saying he's never going to win the world title, but this year it's not going to happen. His job is to support Lewis Hamilton. To get as close to Lewis Hamilton as possible. Especially for the constructors' points. Ocon. Let's go back to Ocon. He signed a 3-year deal, an extension with Alpine, which is a very good move for him. He knows he's not gonna be driving for Mercedes in the next couple of years. Most likely, the next job application, the person who's gonna get the job for that seat, who's gonna fill in the seat when Bottas finally leaves, or if Hamilton finally leaves or finally retires. The next seat is going to be filled by George Russell. That's just the way it is. Whoever leads first out of Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, it's going to be filled by George Russell. Now, Lewis Hamilton, he has been struggling all weekend with the balance of the car, with the chassis that they keep swapping around every race. Why can't they just leave the chassis alone? Hamilton was happy with the chassis in Baku, leave it. If Bottas is not happy with his chassis, give him a chassis that he's happy with. Very simple. Stop fucking around with the chassis. Because it's going to cost you points. It's going to cost you the constructors. I'm telling you right now. Mark my words. It's alright coming out and saying, yeah, it's the longest season. We've still got time. But before you know it, we're going to be halfway through the season. It's going to be summer break. And the Red Bull is going to be 50 points ahead. Or maybe 100 in the constructors. If you start fucking around. Stick with the chassis that you've got. You're happy with it? Leave it alone. Even Christian Horner was saying to the Sky Sports commentary and the F1 News, he's surprised that Mercedes are messing with the chassis so early in the season. Keep shopping around. Simple is always best. We're over 5 races in, and you're still messing with the chassis. You had your, like I said, you had your chassis in Baku. Hamilton, stick with it. Bottas wasn't happy with the chassis in Baku. Okay, swap it over, give him one, and he's happy now. He's happy with the chassis now. Leave it the way it is, because it's gonna cost you. Trust me. Like I said, all weekend, Lewis Hamilton was nowhere. Nowhere. In Q3, it was a second. In one of the practice sessions, practice 3, he was a second behind Max Verstappen. 1 second. I haven't seen that for a lot. You know what? I don't think I've ever seen that Lewis Hamilton was a second behind his title rival. A second. Even when he was with Rosberg, even when he was fighting with Sebastian Vettel, I never saw him a second behind his title rival. And it happened today. But you're going to get the geeks on the internet and saying, it's the chassis. Look at Bottas. He's got the right chassis now. And Bottas is beating him in practice. But like I said, all these reviews, the qualifying is not won in practice. The qualifying is not won in Q1 or Q2. It's won at the end of Q3. And that's the way qualifying is won. But all I'm saying is, Hamilton wasn't looking good in practice session. He never looked rattled, but he wasn't happy. Max Verstappen, it's like he was sitting back. He was watching Lewis do his little doing his little out lap, a little speed lap. And then what happened? Max was thinking, all right, and you reckon you're fast? Watch this. Max would jump in his car, and every time he was beating Lewis to the post. Valtteri Bottas was beating Lewis to the post. He was faster than Lewis in all the practice sessions. All of them. And it wasn't looking good for Lewis. Wasn't looking good. Now, on to Q1. Let's get into the qualifying review. Right. Soon as qualifying started, Tsunoda spinning straight away into turn 1. Now, this guy here, he started off good at first. Everybody liked him. George Lazenby from Sky Sports wanted to adopt him. He wanted to have him on the TV, saying he was the next champion, saying he's going to dominate Formula 1 for the next 10 years. This is one race in, Q1. As soon as Q1 started, the first guy to come out was Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda come out the blocks. He done his out lap, and then he went for his fast lap. And as soon as he come out for his fast lap, the first qualifying, the first sector, the first corner, he spun. He done a 360 spin and went boom. It wasn't even a 360, it was like a half a spin. And the back of his wing looked like it was like wobbling like that. Martin Brundle said he's never saw nothing like that ever on a rear wing. As he was spinning, they done a slow motion on TV and his wing was just rattling like that. And Martin Brundle said he's never ever saw nothing like that before, the way the wing was reacting. It was amazing. And again, Yuki Tsunoda spinning. Yuki Tsunoda was all over the place, spinning everywhere. He bashed the back of his wing again, out of the qualifying, and stopped the session. So basically, the session was 2 minutes in, and he got red flagged because of Yuki Tsunoda. And this is happening every week now. Every time he comes onto the track, since Imola, he's having some sort of accident. People talk about Mazepin, yeah, and they say these stupid names and Mazepin. But in my opinion, and the way it's looking at the moment, Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda is the one who's doing the spinning. Mazepin is keeping his head down and he's getting on with his business. All right, he may not be getting results because the car. Let's face it, the car's dog shit. We all know that the Haas car is dog shit. They've sacrificed this season. They haven't made no upgrades. It's the same car from last year, and they haven't improved the car. But this is their 1 year they're gonna forget about, and hopefully next year, when next year comes, they're gonna put more attention on next year's car. And they told us this at the beginning of the season, so I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. But Tsunoda come out, spun into the corner, mashed up his rear ring, he's out, and a red flag the session. There you go. So, after the red flag, the drivers came back out. Max Verstappen set in the fastest lap, and Perez was 2. So, straight away, Red Bull putting their authority down straight away, saying, look, we're the fastest car, Mercedes, and you're going to see Wagwan. We're the fastest car, and you're going to like it, because you got no choice. 1 and 2. See, this is what Albon couldn't do. I saw one tweet the other day, and I swear to God, and literally I couldn't stop laughing for about half an hour. One dumb geek on Twitter said the reason why Albon is not in F1 is because of Lewis Hamilton. You know, I just said on the tweet, I said, you know what, you're delusional. Nothing else said, I just put it in there, delusional. That's what this guy is blaming Lewis Hamilton for the reason why Albon is not in Formula 1 now. I don't know what he's talking about. Lewis, again, not showing his stuff. I'm not sure if he was building up to the fast lap, but all I know, in Q1, he was nowhere. So all the Lewis fans out there, and I'm one of them. I'm a Lewis fan, I'm a Alonso fan, I'm a racing fan. But all the fans out there probably looking at Lewis and thinking, you know what, he might not even get into Q2. He might not get out of Q2. Even though this is Q1, the way his times are looking, it looked like Alonso was going to beat him in an Alpine. Because Lewis Hamilton was not looking good today. Now, at the end of Max setting the fastest lap, Perez second, then Lewis goes again. And he come out and got the second fastest lap. And the commentator was saying, I think Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes have got the car, the balance just right where they want it now. Because, like I said, in practice session, he was nowhere. But when he went for his second stint in Q1, he got the second fastest lap. And I was thinking to myself, people are going to say, oh yeah, he was sandbagging. We don't know what really happened. But all I know, he set the second fastest lap. And his balance on the car looks a lot better. So, another red flag come out. Mick Schumacher hit the barrier. There you go. So, Stroll was on his fastest lap. Stroll was doing all right. He was hitting the sectors. He might have gone out of Q. I can't really say that he would have got out of Q1, but he was looking okay for him. Maybe he would have had a chance to get a Q1. Russell was going for it and was trying to get out of Q1. He was just past the danger zone. Stroll was in the danger zone because he was still yet to set his fastest lap to try and get into Q2. But as Russell was going for his fastest lap and Lance Stroll was a few sectors back, Mick Schumacher hit the barrier again, like he did in Monaco. Again, he hit the barrier and the flag came out, the yellow flag come out, then the red flag come out. Session was stopped. There was only about 30 seconds to go, so that's not enough time for Stroll to do his lap again. And so Russell got through into Q2 again. Every session, every qualifying this season, Russell has got into Q2 and he done it again. Lance Stroll weren't his fault. It was Mick Schumacher hit the barrier and that compromised his qualifying. Now, at this point, I was thinking to myself, Hamilton looks like he's showing some promise. It looks like he's hitting the apexes. It looks like his car's balanced. It doesn't look like he's everywhere like he was in practice session. Maybe people saying, oh, he was sandbagging. We're never going to know that. We can speculate all we want. We are never going to know if Lewis Hamilton was sandbagging. And that's just the way it is. So, we're getting into Q3 now. First, Verstappen comes out. And straight away, Hamilton was behind him and then Perez. So, Mercedes was losing time in the corners. Now, couple of years ago, the corners was all Mercedes. Remember 2018 and especially 2019, Ferrari had the straight line speed with a questionable oil and a questionable engine, and Mercedes had the corners. Now it seems like it's the other way around. It seems like Mercedes has got a slight advantage on the straights, but the corners, it all belongs to Max Verstappen and the Red Bull. Because what happened is what Red Bull did when this session started in qualifying, they shaved a little bit off the wings so they can have more downforce. They lowered the wings so they can have more downforce. Because for this track, you need more downforce because they got them little slow speed corners, and that's why Red Bull are getting ahead of Mercedes. They clocked it. They knew what they needed to do this weekend, and fair play to Red Bull. They knew what they had to do. They're on it this year, Red Bull. They've put all the dices, all their chips in one basket for this year. Mercedes are concentrating on next year's car. They've kind of like stopped developing this car. They've actually said they're more concentrated now on next year's car. This year's car, they've stopped developing it basically. Red Bull is all about this car. They will sacrifice next year and maybe the year after just so they can win the title this year. All their eggs are in one basket for this year, and this is why Red Bull is showing his pace now. They are, for me, I think they're just as good as Mercedes on the straights, and the corners they were much better. They've done a side-by-side comparison between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's car, and you could see where Lewis was losing the time in the corners. So Q3, the first stint when they come out, it was 1 and 2 Red Bull, and I think Hamilton was third. So I was thinking, look, that time what Max Verstappen set, I thought no one's going to beat that time. I think Max Verstappen could sit in the garage after that first stint he done in Q3 and still qualify. That's what it looked like, because that time was rapid. So they go back in the garage, everybody's excited. You got the commentators saying this is it now. Can Lewis Hamilton get pole? Can he catch the 2 Red Bull guys? So the guys come out. The 2 Red Bulls come out first. At one point I thought that Bottas was going to tow Lewis, because the way they were setting up on the outlap, it looked like Bottas was going to tow Lewis, but it never happened. He probably got a little tow somewhere. I never noticed it. They never showed it on the camera. But at one time I said, yeah, this is going to be a little tow. This is going to be like a backer who's going to tow Lewis so Lewis can get ahead of Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen went again. He went a more faster. Second was Perez. Perez got second just for about a few seconds. Hamilton come out and got a second place. So I was thinking Bottas came out. Bottas got a third place. So it was Max Verstappen first, second Lewis Hamilton, and first Valtteri Bottas. So Hamilton proving his points. If he didn't change the chassis, we don't know if he's changed the chassis or not. He was saying at the end when he was getting interviewed by the sweat Mark Paul di Resta, he said that I proved the theories right, that it wasn't the chassis. So basically he's implying that it wasn't the chassis. Maybe they balanced the car correctly, and maybe they got more downforce in the car. We're never going to know. But at the end of the day, Lewis Hamilton got a second place in qualifying, and I was not expecting that at all. At the beginning of this session, at the beginning of the practice session, at the end of Q3, at the end of practice 3 today in the morning, it was at 10 o'clock today. I mean about 10:30 in the morning. And after that practice session and the qualifying Q1, I never thought that Lewis Hamilton was going to get in the top 3. I was hoping that, mate, if he got a 4th place, I would have been happy with that. But he got second. So we got 2 Mercedes behind Max Verstappen. So, in my opinion, it's all to play tomorrow. At the end of the day, right, he's got 2 Mercedes behind him. We don't know what's going to happen on the start. Max Verstappen most likely is going to get a good start. Right, he's been having brilliant starts this season. Max Verstappen, hats off to him. They've been working on the starts, because he was horrendous last year. And Max Verstappen was horrendous last year for starts, but this year has improved. And I got a hats off to Max Verstappen for improving his starts. Because to me, the starts, him and Hamilton, he's had the better of Hamilton at the start, and that's just the way it is. It don't matter if you're a Lewis Hamilton lover or whatever, whoever you support, you have to be true to yourself. And in my opinion, yeah, Max Verstappen has had the best starts this season. And look at him. And that's it. That's the end of the review. So it was a quick one. I'm so tired.
I sound so tired.
Tomorrow, I promise tomorrow is going to be a longer review. I'm going to go more into detail tomorrow on tomorrow's race day review.
Right, mate.
I can't wait till tomorrow. It's going to be a great... it's going to be a good race. It's going to be a good race tomorrow. I think the start is going to be very interesting because since 2018 we had 3 races there, 18, 19, there was no race there 20, and this is the 3rd one on the new layout of the circuit. And since 2018, the 3 races we've had there in the new era, at the beginning of the race has always been a spin or a crash. We've had 3 or 4 cars always come off in the first sector. It's the way it's designed. The track, the way it is when you go the first straight and there's like a wide bend. There's always a crash. Most likely we're going to see that tomorrow. All I'm saying now is, as long look, if the race starts tomorrow and Max Verstappen gets the best start, so be it. So be it. But my concern is, as long as Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas gets in that first corner untouched, if Bottas somehow passes Lewis Hamilton in the first corner, it's not the end of the world. As long as the 2 Mercedes drivers tomorrow pass in that first corner, if they pass in that first corner, happy days for Mercedes. Happy days. They can work from there. Long as they can keep the 2nd and 3rd. If Bottas goes 2nd and Hamilton goes 3rd, it doesn't matter. You got the 2 Mercedes guys chasing Max Verstappen, and this is where strategy can come in. They don't want one of them to fall behind, or you don't want Bottas or Hamilton, one of them to get clipped and a spin off. Then it's going to be a half a Mercedes for the constructors again. They want to keep the 2 Mercedes guys, it doesn't matter what order, they want the 2 Mercedes guys on the podium. It's essential for the Mercedes chances for the constructors. Very simple. If they do that, it's a happy day for them, and then they can try and work on the strategy to beat Max Verstappen. And that's the end of the review. Thank you very much, guys. Sorry it was a short video, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be doing the race day review tomorrow. Don't forget, later on I'm going to be putting up Ted's notebook as well. Look out for that on my channel. And thank you very much, guys. Solo P1 signing out. Don't forget the subscribe button. Bye.